Hello there, world of tankers, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, we are taking a look at the Tier 10 Italian auto-reloading heavy tank, the Rinoceronte. This vehicle looks fantastic, and I am really excited to play this tank for you guys today. I'm going to be doing a full review. I'll be showcasing this tank's capabilities, statistics, and obviously armor profile, so not only do you know how to fight this thing on the battlefield, but if you do end up grinding it, how to play it yourself. We're going to start off very briefly getting an overview of the stats, what it has going for it in that department. So let's get into it. 3.2 seconds of aiming time is pretty good, and when you pair that with 0.317 dispersion, it's actually a fairly accurate gun. Features 2,600 damage per minute, and it is an auto-reloader. But it's not a reserve shell auto-reloader like the Minnow or the Caro 45-ton. This vehicle features a gun similar to that of the Progetto 65. If you dump the clip, you gain damage per minute, which makes this the most enjoyable type of auto-reloader to play in the game. We can see Shell 2 has an 8.33 second reload, and Shell 1 has a 9.72 second reload. So usually what you want to do is load both shells in the clip and dump the full clip, and then shoot on single shot, because there's a 3.3 second interclip, as we can see. And a lot of people don't realize that the interclip affects your DPM. So if you're shooting on Shell 2, you have to wait 3.3 seconds before you can start reloading on that shell because of the interclip, which means you're actually closer to around 11 seconds, almost 12 seconds of reload for Shell 2 versus only around 10 for Shell 1. So it's way faster just to shoot on single shot DPM. The average pen of this vehicle, 278 on the standard, very nice. Obviously the calibrated shells buff was huge. And the vehicle has 360 mils on the heat, which is more than enough to cut through really anything you'll be dealing with. At 420 damage per shot, it's no slouch on alpha. It's nothing crazy, but again, it's a double shot vehicle, so you can deal 840 damage in 3.3 seconds if you need to, which is quite good. 7 degrees of gun depression allows this vehicle to be fairly flexible on any ridgeline, and mobility-wise, it's also good. 40 kilometers per hour top speed, a powered weight of 16.5, and a reverse of 17. Basically, you pair all that together, and the tank has a solid gun with great DPM, good dispersion, solid penetration, and it's got good mobility, solid reverse speed, and overall good gun depression. So the real question is, how is the armor? And, well, it's not great, but it's not bad either. We can see on flat ground, the upper plate is awful. It's about 230. At best, you're looking at like 260. So the armor is not very good. The lower plate is about 100. So yeah, you're not going to be getting any bounces there. If you try to side scrape, it's also pretty poor. It's basically a little bit beefier Progetto, but even the Progetto 65 has literally a better haul. The part where the vehicle gets strong is the turret. It's about 295 on flat ground, which means if you're using it haul down, the turret becomes about 330. That means even if you're running calibrated shells, it's upwards of 360 to 70 mils thick. It's going to be very hard to cut through this turret. This is with calibrated shells on, about 360 mils of heat pen. And as we can see, it's about a 50-50 whether you're actually getting through the turret or not. It's a very strong armor profile. Now, you do have a weak hatch on the roof, however. Just tilt your turret up and there you go. Now you no longer have an issue with that hatch. This entire undercarriage thing is like 1,000 thick, so you're not going to cut through that at all. Essentially, you're going to have to load gold, and you're going to have to be using calibrated shells to even have a chance of cutting through this with the majority of tier 10 heavies you fight. Yeah, the armor on this vehicle is quite strong. It is basically an Italian Concept 1B with an auto-reloader. Now, its armor isn't as good as the Concept, I'll tell you that right now. A Concept 1B hull down is never, ever going to be penned, where this vehicle hull down does have a chance, especially if you're in a higher heat pen heavy, like an E100 after the changes. Yeah, you're going to be able to cut through the Rhino's turret somewhat easily. But I am running enhanced armor, which is obviously going to help out a bit. And as I mentioned, the gun on this vehicle is quite nice, so you're really not going to have to worry too much when the tank does hit very hard, and it's got an accurate 120 millimeter. So we are going to make our way towards the mid-ramp. We are up against two Rinocerontes, and we'll see how it does. I'm really excited. As I said, this thing, it's just really, really cool looking, and everything about this tank. I tested it when it was in testing, and it was a very fun tank to mess around with there. We can see mobility-wise, it's pretty quick going at 40, but it's nothing too fast, which means that it's not going to be boring or overpowered in that regard. So we can see that one Rhino has been spotted. We see a Foch. That Rhino got absolutely nuked, which kind of sucks for him. We're just going to overpoke very quickly, and we're going to miss our shell on the 2 and 5B. It would appear the on-movement dispersion of this vehicle is nothing impressive, but we do get a nice shot, at least into the enemy Rhino. You can see how poor the hull armor is. Do not drive this tank on flat ground. You are going to regret it. We have the 2 and 5B on the side. Unfortunately, again, that 2 and 5B is getting pretty lucky with his RNG today. All right, well, we're going to reload. And I'm not going to worry about the base cap right now. I'm going to worry about this 30B down low. So we're just going to push over here. And let's see if we can get some damage into the AMX 30B. So we got 2 seconds left on our reload. And let's see. There's 1 shell into the AMX. And we reload again. And there you go. 2 shells into the 30B. That was half of his tank gone. And we don't bleed anything. This is where being a double-shot vehicle is always insane. Double-shot tanks in general are stronger than single shots. And I've talked about this a lot in the past, but it's because of the fact that in a double-shot vehicle, you don't sacrifice anything compared to a single shot. Like, I've got better DPM than a lot of single-shot vehicles, and I also feature the fact that this tank is just really, really capable in the majority of situations you play it. Now, we can see this tank's really strong armor. I mean, obviously that player is not using it good, but hull down, my 360 mils of heat is not enough to cut through a hull down Rhino, and it makes it a very, very tricky pen. So you have to be keeping that in mind while driving the tank. So we got 1 nice shell into the enemy 2 and 5B. We can see our Hovry being pushed by the Foch in the back. And I would love to be able to hit that Foch, but as of right now, that is obviously not going to happen. Alright, well, I'm going to reload, and I'm actually just going to drive right on over. We're going to aim an HE on that grill. 430 damage, not too bad. Our team's not doing good, though. Like, let's be honest here, our team is quite poor in this situation, which is not exactly what we want. I'm going to aim it on the 2 and 5B. I'm hoping right now that I can push this 2 and 5B and get some good damage out into him, finish him off, possibly. That would be the ideal situation. We got 1 tracking shell into the 2 and 5B, and another tracking shell into his tank. That's obviously pretty good. Thankfully, the STB does end up clearing the enemy vehicle there. We're just going to use the good reverse this tank has, and we're going to shoot another shell into the 2 and 5B, but he HEs us for 586, which is really not what I want at all. All right, well, we're going to back up here. We're going to make it as hard for this 2 and 5B as possible, but yeah, it's not going great for us right now. That grill's able to slam a shell in. Let's hope the STB finishes off that player. Oh my god, STB, there's no way you just did that, bro. Wow, you almost just threw everything. I mean, this is still looking like a loss. I cannot believe that the STB bounced that, but we are obviously going to focus on the WZ. We got a 525 max roll into his tank. Let's really hope the STB one ends up clearing the enemy grill, and we're holding this. All right, the Foch missed, which is obviously quite important, and let's see. All right, good. STB gets the grill cleared, and the 60 TP finishes off that player. So just like that, what was going to be a very, very poor defeat has turned into quite a solid-looking victory. We got 1 pen into the Foch, and obviously, with the way this gun works, it's honestly fine. The Foch is super fast on reverse, though, now that it obviously features the gear oil. But there you go, another nice snap into the Foch. We're now up to 5,600 damage dealt, which is really, really good. And we're just going to push this Foch a little bit more and see if we can get some extra damage out, and bonk. There you go. So, first impressions of the Rhino, this vehicle is absolutely fantastic, and it's exactly how I expected it to play. The gun is a little bit derpy, and that's how it felt in test as well. The on-movement dispersion of the tank, while good, does have some troll aspects, and it can be a little bit wonky. You also notice that the hull armor was able to be hesh-penned by the FE2 and 5B, so there are certain situations where you're going to have to be careful when driving this tank. But the fact that the vehicle features an incredibly solid gun with DPM, the auto-reloading mechanics, and the armor hull down, you can get out crazy results like this. 5,700 L, and while we didn't really block any, it shows just why double-shot tanks are so incredibly strong. It's just the fact that you really can't do anything to counter them. You know, let's say you're in a T110E5, and I poke you, and I go bam, bam, and I take 840 off. Well, if you try to overpoke and shoot me, I will reload by the time you try backing up, and then I'll shoot you again for 420. The Rhino does not feature bad DPM as we went over. It's 2,600. That's pretty good, almost 2,700. That's actually really good DPM. So it's not like the tank struggles at all in the damage per minute department. Naval Frontier has also just been added back into the game, which is quite nice. I'm interested to see how teams end up working on Naval. I'm going to ping that I'm going all the way down. And we'll see what actually ends up happening. But yeah, the Rhino felt absolutely fantastic in game number 1. It played exactly like I would expect this type of vehicle to do. Alright, well, we're going to go wide. And I'm going to turn my turret this angle. We have the enemy E5 and Rhino spotted. Okay, well, my Rhino is coming over here for help, which is obviously very, very important. So, yeah, we're going to see what happens. Let's just chill right here. I think this should be the perfect spot. If that E5 makes an over poke, we're going to try and shoot him in the track wheel and hopefully get out a decent bit of damage. Let's see, what is the enemy team doing? Well, it looks like the E5 is not here at all. So if that's the case, I'm going to make my way up this hill. We're going to see if anything is over here. The E5 is indeed spotted. Our boss shot is low, which is not great, but we get 1 shell into the enemy Rhino, and with the intra clip of 3.3, we're allowed to get 1 more out. That right there is why double shot tanks are so capable. It's because I just ripped that guy's HP in half. There's really nothing he can do about it. We have the E50. We get a nice shot into him for 375. This is where, honestly, the Rhino just feels absolutely fantastic. We're going to aim it on the rear of the Foch, and, well, we're not able to HE him, but we still do get a nice 520 damage shell. Alright, well, the Foch is going to be quite a dangerous foe in this current situation. We're just going to back up. Oh, shell goes right into his gun. That is not what I was wanting. That is very, very sad. Good news is the Foch really can't do anything to us here. I'm going to reload, and we're going to get our second shell out in just a moment. We're going to wait as well for our second shell, so maybe we can get some good damage into this E5. Let's see, and we're just gonna fire a standard shell into his track wheel once, and we're gonna get a second shell into his track wheel. Not too bad at all. The well, Rhino's not doing great here, but Foch is on reload, so I should be able to clear. Okay, good, that works even better. Alright, we're going to reload our second shell into the clip. This is mainly down to the fact that this Foch is going to try and clear our teammate, and I'm not going to allow that to happen, so we're going to aim it on the Foch, and there you go. 1 easy shell into his vehicle. We do have the Sheridan. We do have the Foch. This is not ideal for me at all. And as you can see, the armor on this tank did not work in this situation here. But Boss Shotzion is dead. We are dead as well. There's just nothing I really could have done to stop what happened to me. But we did good. Also, what the heck? The 4202 looks absolutely goofy with its PBR. What am I looking at? Wow, the tank looks goofy. Oh my god. But yeah, that was still a solid game. The Rhino, we actually got a good example there of how quickly the vehicle falls apart when it's rushed. To be fair, we had 3 tanks on us, one of which was an auto-loading Foch with tungsten activated, one of which was a Sheridan and a Bat Chat. There's just nothing we really could have done to change what happened to us. But we still did 3,500 damage, we still did top of the team, and we did a very, very good job. So at the end of the day, the Rinoceronte seems like a fantastic vehicle, and it's exactly how I thought it would play. You get hull down, you get good damage out. The vehicle has fantastic DPM, and has fantastic hull down capabilities. Its armor is solid, but do not drive it on flat ground. If you drive it on flat, you're going to get penned. And if you do drive it on flat, make sure that you are out-training your opponents with the double shot mechanic. I would give this vehicle a solid 9 out of 10. I think it is one of the more fun vehicles Wargaming has released in a very long time. I'd say this is a fantastic tank to grind, but make sure that you learn its capabilities. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.